Hello and welcome back to Community Connection. I'm Iowa City Mayor Bruce Teague. Iowa City is home to many terrific parks, and while we love our playground equipments and trails, we're also working to create natural spaces. Over the past several years, Iowa City has embarked on an effort to establish and preserve prairies at several parks across our community. Here to tell us about those efforts is Superintendent of Parks and Forestry, Tyler Baird. Thank you for being here with me today.
Yes, thanks for having me, Mayor Teague.
Yeah, super excited because we're talking about something that's happening in our community at our parks. And so, can you tell us a little bit about the reasoning behind prairie restoration projects?
Yeah, that's a good question, and one that we get quite frequently. So prairies do a few different things for us. They are native habitat, which is good for pollinators and all sorts of other critters and things out there. They're great for passive recreation. Strolling through or by the prairies, just kind of enjoying the way the grasses and the flowers and everything look. They're great for education, educating youth as to what Iowa used to look like. And they're also help us get at some of our maintenance needs. So prairies aren't no maintenance, but the maintenance shifts some of our heavy maintenance times of the year to other parts of the year. So we're able to spread that maintenance out on that area to some of our traditionally slower seasons.
And will you talk a little bit about the Iowa native landscape? What does that look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. It really depends on how far back you want to go.
Take us wherever
But
you want us to go.
So if we're talking pre-settlement or when European settlement came to Iowa, we would have already had people on the land for a while at that point, doing things like burning the grasslands for habitat and to bring game into the areas. So prairie was the dominant landscape when European settlers came. You can, if you think back to history class, when you hear about people, coming across the Great Plains and they're on their horses and all they can see is a sea of grasses. That's really what you would have seen. A lot of prairie, taller grasses on this side of the state, shorter prairie grasses the further west you get in Iowa. And then you'd also have some trees sprinkled in, and especially in areas along waterways. So, along the Iowa River here or Ralston Creek or any of the other creeks in town, you would have had some trees here and there that were right along that water where natural fires didn't impact them as much. So a lot of prairie is what would have been pretty much anywhere we are in the city today.
Yes. And let's talk about some of the projects that are in progress. What we do know is we're going to have some video and some pictures that accompany this. But let's talk about the first one, Hickory Hills, because that's going to be having various different prairies, including an example of a first-year location. Can you talk about that project?
Yeah, that's a good question. And Hickory Hill is a great example of different ages of prairie. So we have three areas at Hickory Hill that have established prairie. One of them, some people in the community may know as the Regina Prairie. It got that name because it's closer to the Regina campus there. And it's about an acre of established prairie. And then we have two other locations with more established prairie on kind of opposite hillsides from each other as you go up from the creek on the north side of the park. And then more recently, we have a second season prairie that's near the area that the dam of the creek there. And that's surrounding the Regina Prairie. So you have a good juxtaposition of a couple of different ages of prairie there. And then the first year prairie you spoke of is a new one that's actually more savanna-like. It's near some of the trees and on some of the hill over on the Bloomington Street entrance side of the park. So we've really got some prairie spread all throughout that area. I mean, Hickory Hills is known for its woods, but mixed in there in those spaces in between are some good edge transition habitat. So perfect place for prairies.
Yeah, Hickory Hills is a great place to just go out and spend the day at, really enjoying nature.
It is.
Let's take a look at a second year location at City Park.
Yeah, City Park's a fun one. We had a lot of compliments on last year. We have a first and a second year area there. The second year area is back closer to the Little League baseball fields. And it was just covered with yellow blooms from Black-eyed Susan last year. So that's one of the fun things about new prairies. You get different colors and species that really do well over the years. So one of those first things that is a colonizer type species to get the prairie really going is Black-eyed Susans, which we have as our city flower. So it's kind of neat to see those in bloom. So that was really pretty last year. And hopefully we'll see more of the same of that in the newest area, kind of near the boat ramp for those familiar with the park this year. So as you come into the park near the river is the first year prairie there.
And is that the most recent prairie establishment?
Yes, that is one of our most recent. We had about 17 locations this past year that were seeded into prairie. So, and we have a couple more that'll be seeded this spring. So we have a lot of new areas that are going to be fun to watch really over the next, it'll take anywhere from 3 to 5, sometimes a few more years, depending on the site to really get those up and established and to a nice state.
And you're right. It takes a little while to get it to its full, desire, right? So tell us
Yep.
about one of the well-established native landscapes, which is at Waterworks Prairie Park.
Yes, that's a favorite of many people, especially those who like bird watching. It's great habitat out there. You've got prairie, you've got water with the ponds and the river. You've got some wooded areas around, so it's got a little bit of everything. And the prairie is really nice in a few areas there, especially those that were not impacted by the 2008 floods. So those areas kind of near the trail as you emerge into the park from under the interstate, there's a nice, really nice example there. You have a larger diversity of species which have established after a few years. I believe that one's about 20 years old. And there's some other good examples closer to the Waterworks plant there. And we've also added a couple of new spots there last year as well, just expanding near the building, the Waterworks office building and complex there to kind of bring that prairie all throughout the area there.
Now you've mentioned a little bit about what the maintenance requirements, some of the maintenance that you've been doing, but tell us what those requirements are to ensure that they remain healthy and they really thrive.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the first few years, we'll do more mowing than anything else. Once it gets to about 12 inches tall or so, we like to cut it back. That helps the new prairie plants outcompete or compete with the any kind of undesired weedy species that may be coming up. So we'll mow it 2 to 4 times, depending on the location in that first season, maybe a few more in the first season. It depends on the year. And then the next couple of years, maybe a couple of different mowings. And then really what we're doing this spring and some of our other prairie areas is prescribed fire. So we have staff that's trained in prescribed fire to really safely reintroduce fire to the prairie landscape. and it helps keep woody plants suppressed. And really, some of these prairie species, they develop for years and years with fire, so it helps them really flourish. Some of the seeds need that fire to really germinate well, and it really just opens up the space for new plants to grow and to thrive in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the main as maintenance aspects to the prairie. We'll do a little bit of hand cutting if a tree gets a little bit larger in the area, but really through mowing and burning is our best ways to maintain those spaces.
Well, I have to tell you, it's a privilege to talk to you today about this, and it's also great as we walk around the parks and we see some of this live and in action. You know, the pictures really don't do justice to what's happening out there. Anything that you want to talk about as we end our time here today?
I'll just encourage everyone to get out to the parks. Okay, say we've added about 100 acres, maybe a little bit more in the past couple of years. So we hope people will get out and enjoy watching those establish along with us, because we enjoy stewarding these areas to their best, and hope the public can get out and enjoy that as well.
Well, now that all the snow is melted and people can get out in shorts and walk around and enjoy the warmth, I am looking forward to seeing more and more people in our parks, and I know that this is a huge benefit to just being out in nature and just enjoying. So thank you so much for all the work that you and your staff do. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor Teague.
That's our show for today. We'll be back again soon with another episode of Community Connection. Until then, stay safe, Iowa City.